Thank you for having us at Networking Field Day. This is the agenda that I'm going to be going over today. So I'll give a quick overview of LiveAction, simplifying the network, the product. And I'll talk about the challenges and how the product started. I'll talk about the technology that drives our product. And we'll go into like a real in-depth demo. Just to introduce myself, my name is John K. Smith. I know it's kind of a common name. I've actually only met 2 people with the same name, so it's not as common as you think. But I'm a LiveAction co-founder and CTO. I've been doing that for a couple of years. But prior to that, I worked for a company called Referentia, and we did defense contractor, defense research. So that's where a lot of the ideas and the product knowledge came from, is doing research in terms of like quality of service, network, visualization, and security. But prior to that, I worked for a company called Spirent, also ad tech for 7 years. So we made test products. So we did IP testers. I did the frame relay tester, ATM testers. People don't use ATM that much anymore, but we built the first OC 192 tester for Cisco back in the day, GSR. I remember carrying that on the plane and delivering it to Cisco QA just so that they can start testing on their GSRs. So that was a while back. But we actually have quite a number of engineers that work on the product that come from Spirent as well. So just a quick overview of the company. Our corporate offices are in Palo Alto. Our sales offices are across the US. And we started in 2009, and we started commercially selling the product in 2011. So the name of the product is LiveAction. It's for see, point, click, and fix. It's really about visualizing, decision-making, and control. And I'll talk about each one of these. But we're focused on the enterprise campus branch, also WAN, wireless, and wired as well. So we have a specific focus that we're trying to hit first. So one of the things that's pretty unusual that other products don't do is visualization. And one of the anecdotes is, whenever we install our tool, they realize something that they never realized about the network. And it's how we visualize it that really makes people understand what's happening in their network. And here's a diagram of a diver, and there's a big shark behind him. And it's really about situational awareness, understanding what's around in your surrounding. And we kind of parlayed that concept of situational awareness to networks. And the second thing is, once you kind of understand what's in your network, it's about decision making. And on the left-hand side, you'll see Google Maps. So it's great when you want to take a trip using Google Maps, because if there's an accident, it shows you what other routes do. And LiveAction is similar in the network, where it shows you the path, but it shows you what alternatives you might have, and it helps with the decision-making process. And the third aspect of the product is actually control. So we control the API, through our API layer, the Cisco infrastructure. So as you make decisions, we help you fix that. So it's kind of a complete workflow that we put into the product. So whether you're fixing, deploying, or adjusting your Cisco infrastructure. So at the high level, LiveAction fits into the application-aware network performance management market. And our unique capability is QoS Control. You don't see a whole lot of products doing actually Cisco QoS. But it's a fast, simple, cost-effective way to do monitoring and control of your application performance, leveraging your Cisco capabilities. And the 4 things that we do is we deploy. So we deploy technologies like NBAR, QoS, IPSLA, flexible NetFlow for you without having to crack open that Cisco manual. We analyze all that information. We help you troubleshoot that in real time. But finally, we help you fix those issues through QoS, and also deploying other technologies as well. And we're a Cisco development partner, and we work very closely with Cisco on these technologies. So at the high level, at the top, you'll actually see all the different capabilities that we provide. So like I mentioned, deploying Cisco technologies. And during the demo, I'll show you in detail some of the things that we do there. But the unique capabilities are visualization and doing path analysis, so really understanding your network. And we do the usual things that all the other products do, like dashboard and alerting, real-time reporting, and the QoS Control. But at the bottom, you'll see the different dimensions that we work with. So, flow. And you can slice and dice flow into all these different dimensions, and we'll go into that a little bit more. But flow, working with quality of service, LAN, IPSLA, and routing, helps you get a complete picture of your network. So we kind of realized, when we first started, we're doing quality of service, but you kind of needed flow to help, understand certain aspects of the network. But you also wanted to do IPSLA to understand like link quality and also routing, for example. So we try to bring in all the different technologies using different ways to gather that data. So the three primary things that we help our customers are, understanding and fixing video, voice, application traffic. The whole cloud mobile thing is happening, but the video explosion is affecting a lot of our customers. And Vine is one example, but you have high def TV streaming, Netflix, and it's just affecting a lot of our enterprise customers. But the second thing is, now that they have this problem, they want to deploy and leverage Cisco capability to solve these issues. So whether it's QoS, AVC, IWAN, PFR, there's a plethora of capability that Cisco keeps coming out with. But at the end of the day, they still find it hard to actually use that and deploy that. In the second section, I'll actually go over how we got started, and that'll kind of probably tell you why we're so Cisco focused to some extent. And the third aspect is understanding who, what, where, and when about the network. So this is agnostic to Cisco, where we gather NetFlow and SNMP data and we lay out your network. So it'll work with Juniper or HP or any of the other products. So if you dig down further into the IT challenges that we help with our customers, I talked about voice and video optimization, the QoS configuration piece of that to fix those issues. But there's things like IWAN that people are starting to leverage. So, intelligent WAN, and Cisco's providing capabilities in that area. So we provide the tools for monitoring PFR, monitoring IPSLA, enabling AVC, doing the QoS part, so that our customers can have options of how they want to do their WAN management. Other parts are application performance troubleshooting, performance baselining, and people have actually used our tool for cyber and physical security as well. So we started working with the physical security business unit, interacting with cameras and other Internet of Things endpoints. So who are our customers? So we're actually used by some of the largest law firms, banks, media, and educational institutions. So this last week I talked to one of our customers in Europe, who's one of the largest banks, and they have 15 million customers. So there is definitely a need for this tool, and there is a lot of customers that on the WAN edge in critical portions, it is primarily Cisco, although they have mixed environments as well. But I think the key thing that they want to do is they want to leverage all that technology that's in the Cisco infrastructure, and they see us as a way to help them do that. And these are some of the other verticals that we hit. So we hit primarily all of them, all the way from financials, consumers, healthcare, and I was driving on by Palo Alto the other day, and I was looking at all these stores, and half of them were actually our customers. So it's actually pretty impressive, some of the list of customers that we have. And at the high level, these are some of the technologies that's unique to what we bring. And the first one is knowledge visualization. And in the technology portion, I'll go into much more detail on what that means. But it's really, how do you visualize the network for situational awareness? And the second piece is big data for NetFlow. So how do you do high performance collection of NetFlow flexibly at scale? And we've been researching that for multiple years. And the third part is doing the analytics and control. So how do you actually gather the information, create the models of the devices, and actually create that CLI API to actually control your infrastructure? So this is a bigger diagram of the LiveAction technologies. On the right-hand side, you'll see the LiveAction server. On the left-hand side, you'll see the various different types of technology. So from the network and endpoints, we gather data, and we gather it in all different ways, whether it's NetFlow, SNMP, Telnet, SSH, or REST. And we kind of realized when we first started that it's not enough to do SNMP, it's not enough to do NetFlow. You have to use these combinations to actually get all the information to give you that visibility. Then we gather that into our network big data store, and then we do the analytics, we do visualization, we do search, we have a network DVR that I'll actually do the demonstration on, and then we do path analysis. But this kind of shows the workflow where once they realize what the problem is, they go to the policy and control portions, and we actually model each device where we're not actually pushing out just templates of commands. We actually know the actual structure of these commands for every device that we bring in. So when you make a QoS change, we know what we have to do to fix that policy to actually push that out. And in the CLI API layer, we can do it through SSH or Telnet or REST API back into the network and endpoints. So on the left-hand side, I'll go more into detail of the network layers that we work with. On the bottom left is all the different types of Cisco technologies that we work with. So AVC is something that helps with application visibility and control. IWAN I'll talk more about, but it's another initiative that Cisco's doing. So you'll hear a lot of this when you go to like Cisco Live, and there's like a lot of these classes, but it's somewhat difficult to implement without a really good tool. So just breaking down all the different layers that we look into. So at the top, we look at quality of service. So this is where we got started, and we look at everything related to bandwidth, queue, drops. If you do MQC, we do everything with configuring MQC. MBAR2 has brought in a lot of capabilities for doing matches, and I'll demonstrate that for you. We do hierarchical queuing framework, policy, we do audits, we do templates. So a lot of our customers primarily use that QoS capabilities to solve their voice video application problem. But we leverage NetFlow to give you that other dimension. So whether it's flexible NetFlow, IPFix, JFlow, SFlow, and you'll hear even security like NCell on the ASA, the ASR high-speed logging, they're using NetFlow. So you just see this plethora of technologies coming into Flow. The third layer is IPSLA, so we can bring and actually set up large-scale tests for you for IPSLA, bringing in latency, jitter, loss, link metrics. And the next level down, we actually do routing. So if you want to understand your routing table, routing path, adjacencies, policy-based routing, VRFs, we actually show you that dimension as well. Below that, we do the layer 2 and 3. So IP addressing, subnet, how do they all come together? What are the VLAN paths, spanning tree, layer 2 queue stats? And at the very bottom, we do the usual device and interface monitoring. So admin, operational state, bandwidth drops, errors, things of that sort. So we try to bring that whole workflow into the tool. And we try to correlate between these different layers, doing path analysis and cross-correlation. So during the demonstration, I actually show you how we bring in quality of service and AVC and MediaNet information to try to help you troubleshoot where that voice and video problems are. And we've started working more and more on the endpoints. So working with a physical security group, we know how to talk to cameras, be able to get media information, start a media trace from those endpoints. So we see this proliferation of Internet of Things. And it's about really understanding not just your network infrastructure, but things that are connected to your networks. And then there's other layers that we want to work in for the future. So we can show you multicast from like a NetFlow perspective, meaning the data plane portion. There's the control plane portion of multicast, and we haven't really hooked into that, and we can work on that layer. There's DMVPN. We can actually configure QoS for DMVPN. We can actually show you from a flow perspective what those tunnels look like, but not necessarily talking to the DMVPN control aspect, and MPLS VRF. And in the future, things like overlay networks with VXLAN and NVGRE, and I'll talk more about that in a later slide. So one of the things that we've been working on for the next release, it's kind of interesting. We have software engineers, and they like to name their releases. So this release is called Destiny. And apparently it's a spaceship from Stargate. So if you watch Stargate, there's apparently a spaceship called Destiny. And we had, I think, previous releases, we had one for the Borg. So the Borg Cube was one of our releases. But this is coming out May 2014. And this is where we're going to be going much larger in terms of distributed scale architecture. So our backend is actually developed in Java. It's multi-threaded. We have a loosely coupled set of servers. But in this release, we're actually going more agent-based. We're putting in an Akka framework. So our customers are asking for larger and larger deployments, and we're breaking out that collector so you can do n number of nodes. So it's becoming a 3-tier architecture where you have apps at the top, servers, and nodes. And I was talking to the European customer the other day, and they want that solution to be on-prem, and they're hesitant to put things in the public cloud. They don't necessarily want that in the US. So our first target is definitely on-prem, being able to deploy to their data centers and being able to manage their enterprise networks. So one of the challenges, and I'll go into the technology part about the big data. So it's a challenge to do big data on-prem where it's user managed. So we've tried Cassandra and other products, and it's a you have to kind of tailor it for on-prem deployment. So that's kind of our first target. For scale, we're looking at 10,000 devices, 10 collectors, but with the framework that we're developing, you can do 100,000 in the future, 100 collectors. So, we worked on our scalable NetFlow collection for a long time, and we've clocked it at 1 to 3 million flows per collector node. And when we did some experiments with Cassandra, it took 20 nodes to do that kind of performance. So it is unique in how we do it. We can't do real-time analytics on 1 million flows per second, but we do the collection and reporting and visualization off of that. So our initial target for the system is 10 million flows per second. In the future, it's kind of the sky's the limit, depending on the number of nodes that we produce. And it's a little interesting on the user interface side that we do everything as a Java app. So it's an application. We looked at different approaches of doing HTML5 or hybrid or apps. But we kind of see our customers really buying into the tool. They use it every day. And it's kind of like when you use Outlook 365 versus the Outlook that's installed, where if you're really doing a lot of email, you kind of want that app experience. And some of the trends with some of the other like LinkedIn and Facebook, they're going towards native apps. So I think it's when you see the user interface and when you see the demonstration, I think you'll kind of see why we kind of went as an app. So that's the quick overview of LiveAction. Any questions so far?
So you mentioned a lot about flow data and Cisco. Are you able to consume version 9 flows as well as IPFix?
Right. So we can consume flexible NetFlow, version 9, version 5, SFlow, JFlow, IPFix. We actually configure the policies on the routers to actually get flexible NetFlow from the devices as well. So I'll kind of demonstrate that in our demo of how we set that up.
Excellent, thank you.